So weekly consulting with Thinker Growth Community. We got Ryan and Naomi here.
Hello.
And Ryan, you've got a business idea that we're gonna talk about today and then bring
I
people to.
do.
So
I
anything
do.
launch it off. Why are we here?
Well, to start out the conversation, I've been throughout life, I've always been talking about like how young I look as well as how old I am. And something that really came to me that was very interesting was like how men kind of like perceive their own like health as well as, I guess, beauty in this case, for lack of a better term. And what I realized is that most men, unlike women, don't necessarily want to turn back the time that they have, don't want to look younger, but they want to look good. So it's more about like extending their prime rather than turning back the clock for them. So what I've been developing is a line of products, skincare products for men that will focus more on extending the time that they have within their prime. Typically, men like this are roughly about the demographics that I come up with are 35 and up, make a certain amount of money with regards to like I would say middle class or probably higher, who are very active socially, maybe active as well as sports. So the last thing that I realized that men typically think about, regardless of how fit they are, their muscles or whatever, what they can do, is like how their skin is. Like most men, specifically that I talk to, that I've talked to lately, don't really think about their skin. And when they do, it's because they have like an issue they got to deal with or something like that. But like for preventative care and essentially just looking and feeling young in general, I think skincare needs to be a focus. So what I'm developing is a skincare line that can be accessible as well as results driven. Because I also think that there's a lot of stuff that is out there right now that men typically use, in which the case maybe is that they don't know most of a lot about, or they're just going by what is bought for them or what's being suggested to them by whoever they're with or interested in. And whereas when you look at the female, when you look at the overall skincare industry, it's very results driven. Like most women that I talk to, some that are estheticians, my girlfriend's a makeup artist, and so forth. They're always talking about like what are the results, what products are in here that I can get results. And I think kind of taking that influence and some of those ingredients and putting them in a skincare product that will make sense for men to be able to digest um, what and invest into would be something that would be really great. And then I think that's where I want to go with it. So that's the overall concept in general. So far, what I've done is I've created a survey and passed that out amongst a group of men that I've met randomly or that I know and gotten um, results with regards to like what they buy, who buys for them, if they don't buy for themselves, if they tried other things before. And at the moment, I'm working with manufacturers to sample their products so I can potentially start a line for myself. And I think what I want to start with first is a serum. I'm looking at retinaldehyde right now to like kind of get the process going as my first access product, and then building a line around that. So that's where I'm at.
All right. So to recap on that, how you identified your opportunity was that people have been coming to you noting that you look so young and yet you are so old. Okay.
I'm just going to tell the story. I'm going to tell the story that we had. I'm going to tell
Okay.
our story. So
Okay.
when Jason and I met, we had this conversation, and then Jason was down asking me about skincare products because he had tried other things and what have you. And so we were looking at skincare products together online. I was recommended Ordinary, which is a brand that's out there now. And I recommended it when I was using it to him. He tried it, loved it. And it made me realize that a lot of men don't really know how to navigate through this industry to get the stuff that they would be helpful for them. So I think another component that I want to delve into specifically with the marketing is like giving men tips or educating them on how they could be more mindful or at least know what's out there with regards to the industry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the one of the things that stands out to me is this idea of pull through, right? So people keep coming to you for a particular need that they have, which right at the tip, because I'm building this map in my mind of how do you identify opportunities and then how you implement opportunities, because people identify opportunities all the time. Usually from then saying, "Hey, I noticed this issue." It's a different situation when somebody comes to you and says, "Here's something that I keep noticing." And then you see that among a lot of people, which then gets into then how did you evaluate that opportunity? I noticed the opportunity. How do I evaluate that opportunity? And you immediately went into voice of the customer, which is a survey
Mhm.
you to assess whether that really was an opportunity because you might see it as an opportunity, but it's different when everybody else sees it as an opportunity. Or you can say no.
Um, I guess what kind of input are you looking for? Because I have um, I guess that's my biggest question because I have like a lot of different like avenues I could go. I mean, as far as like what kind of things that people are looking for, because younger looking skin, keeping it the way it is, like that's one thing. It's very broad and it's very vague. Because I mean, retinol, what that does is that's specifically like for healing and mending the skin. There's also things that like will tighten the skin, give it more elasticity. There's things that will like salicylic acid that, eats out things from the pores, reduces the look of pores because there's not dirt sitting in the pores. Things like that. And so what kind of input are you looking for? And also, have you been looking into, like, the demographic of, like, men who look for, like, a 24-in-1 shampoo they can use, like, to even, like, change their oil in their car? Like, have you, like, looked to, like, that demographic where it's, like, as few steps as possible? Like, because that's how I am. I have ADHD, and with that comes I have to have a rigid routine or I go kaput, like, I cannot handle anything. And with that, like, my skincare has been, like, I have to simplify it, and so, like, there's different things, like, I don't know. So I guess what kind of input are you looking for? Like, are you wanting any ideas? Like, I have things that you could implement, like, different ingredients to implement, like, what kind of input are you looking for from me, I guess?
Well, I think with regards to the concept, I'm pretty set on the concepts and how to and like the demographic. So the
Mhm.
demographic that I'm um looking to penetrate here would be like men over 30,
Right.
30 and up. Income range that I'm looking at would be like 50,000 or more with regards to per year income. And men who are typically more mindful as to like what they're looking for themselves. Like there's
Mm.
definitely the conversation of where, you got men whose wives or girlfriends or boyfriends or whomever, their just significant other will typically buy the stuff for them,
Right.
in which they have typically they don't want to have any input. I kind of want to target men and also potentially convert men who are more mindful as to like what's going on with their skin, right?
Right.
And I know with retinaldehyde and salicylic acid that you mentioned, like retinaldehyde will definitely like help fill in those cracks, whereas salicylic acid can help like tighten the skin and things like that. And to that very good point that you made about having like a multiple in one, like, Head and Shoulders 2-in-1 or 20-in-1 or something like that. That was also another avenue I was thinking about going down because men are simple. Like
Mhm.
I myself, I use it Head and Shoulders 2-in-1. Like I did it make it easy for myself. So in some conversations that I've had with women who are in the industry or who are very much a fanatic, I wouldn't say a fanatic, but very much in their opinion, a
Aware.
connoisseur of what they're looking for.
Mhm.
Um, they're all talking about I want to drive with results. We want results, but I'm just like, Jason and I had a conversation, but like men don't really, they just want to know that it works for
That it
them.
works. Yep.
So from your point of view as a woman and to what you just described, um, do you think like something that would be more accessible with regards to potentially like a moisturizer, something that can be a good start off or a good access point product? Um, do you, what's your opinion on how that can work versus like something that's a little bit more specialized with more, let's say, tangible results?
So you're looking for so you're wondering you're wondering like the difference between like simpler versus more tangible results, like simplification versus okay. Um, Honestly, I feel like they can go hand in hand. Like for this is a for instance for me is I used to use like a salicylic acid and then I would use oh gosh, what was it? Oh, I forget what it was, but it kind of like dried out the skin. I'm trying to remember what it was. It wasn't so there's like the four things I use are zinc, salicylic acid, and retinol serum,
Mhm.
and that needs to be with like a low oh, and hyaluronic acid. Hy
Oh,
like
yeah.
so
Mhm.
hyaluronic acid is good. The one I forget the thing that I was using. But it basically dried out the skin. I don't remember what it was, but that wasn't particularly good for my skin. I did use it hand in hand with salicylic acid, but it ultimately did dry out my skin and it wasn't doing anything. So, for instance, my simplification is to wash my face. I use Head and Shoulders, not even Head and Shoulders. I think I use the Equate brand from Walmart to wash my face with because that has zinc in it. It's really
Mhm.
cheap. It has zinc in it, and zinc is what firms the skin up. Zinc actually puts a protective layer on the skin and firms the skin up. And then when it comes to like right before I put like something on my face, I'll use salicylic acid. So I'll use the oxy pads with salicylic acid in it to exfoliate. Then I'll use a salicylic acid lotion because salicylic acid can. How many times can I use salicylic acid in a
I don't
sentence?
know.
Let's
You were going
see.
strong in that.
You
Right?
got
I'm
the
doing
3
good. I'm
so
doing
far.
good, huh? World record here. So using that in like a lotion helps really good. So I'll put the lotion on with that in it. I'll use an under eye hyaluronic acid stuff just like for puffiness just to reduce like the the dark lines, tiredness, all that. Mom of two, I never sleep. And then I'll use like the retinol serum on top of that. Now if it's like and sometimes I'll use hyaluronic acid on top of that because hyaluronic acid is what, helps you it like what tells your skin to like absorb what's on your skin. It's like it tells your skin to like drink up, absorb everything that's on there. And so it's like a facial. So if you're like ever like dumping a whole bunch of stuff on your face, put that on top and it'll just absorb really good. But I wish I could remember what that thing was called.
But do you think so here's a question. So with that regimen that you just described to us,
Mhm.
in your opinion, um, do you think m most men would do something similar, or for them, would it be something that's, like, more, like, just grab off the top shelf, slap it on your face as you would maybe with another product? So what I do is I'll put it on, like, retinol or hyaluronic acid, depending on, like, what I have at the time. Then on top of it, I'll put on a moisturizer,
Mhm.
and then if, it's particularly sunny or my girlfriend is particularly on my shit, then I will put on sunblock as well.
SPF.
So that's my typical 3 that I go to, not just the 2. So I'm wondering, like, should I create an access product that would essentially be something that they
Multiple
can
in
use
one.
on their multiple in
Yeah.
one, or something that they can use on their own, and then slowly bringing them into the world of like other ingredients or products. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's good. The things you would want to combine. So face washing. So there's two aspects, face washing and creams you put on your face. So topical things and face washing, right? So
Mhm.
face wash, when it comes to that, you want to get something that will, that's where the zinc comes in. That's why I use zinc to wash my face with. And then there's the exfoliation part, that can go with face washing. So there's the face washing, exfoliation, and ointments. So what you want in an ointment, the things you'd want to combine are a salicylic acid,
Mhm.
retinol serum, and something to hydrate. Those three hand in
Mhm.
hand, and maybe like a 5 SPF. I wouldn't do too much SPF because it can be greasy. So find ways to do an SPF that aren't greasy because grease can actually, well, I guess guys don't really have to worry
Well,
about it much. The breakout
no,
situation.
well, I actually have a friend who was telling me he's in his late 20s, and he just started telling me that he was just now starting to use product and things like that. And he says he's going through like a purge in his face, like his face is like spelling the things in his face, like the dirt or whatever. and it's like he's breaking out. And I was just like, that's interesting. Yeah, like keep me posted on that. But I like what you're saying with regards to like trying to combine all in one.
Mhm.
I, I just wonder if it can be done. You know,
It
with,
Well,
can. There's
I,
different for women's products, it can. That's why well, I think it
like
should be done.
in
The
one thing.
the moisturizer, like the only thing that my moisturizer is missing is retinol serum because I have a moisturizer that's salicylic acid and a moisturizer. It just needs retinol serum. It just needs retinol serum. That's it. And I really wish that it could have the retinol in it. So if you can somehow find like what I use is Vichy Normaderm. It's like that salicylic acid with the moisturizer. That's really good moisturizer. Find a way to have quality moisturizer with the salicylic acid and the retinol serum. If you can combine those three things, that would be a powerhouse and have it at a good price point. Honestly, you could market that to women as well.
Absolutely. Jason, I think you're trying to jump in
yeah.
there.
So,
Sorry.
no, this is, I think, a great discussion. So my thought is expanding this into to a broader strategy of how do you put this whole thing together. It's the problem identification, the problem validation. And part of that problem validation is to look at the target market, ask them what they do now and how much
Mm,
energy they put into that. So whatever their problem is, how are they solving it now? And evaluate really the energy input into that, because to disrupt their purchasing habits now, the new solution has an energy cost. So that's why things like all in one, it's a convenience thing. It's a
yep.
convenience thing, right? Why do you want me to change? Because this thing's more convenient. It requires less energy from me. But energy is not just the effort that I need to apply, it's the money I need to spend as well, which is
Maintenance.
sometimes why there's getting to this the idea of combining all of these things together. That's super convenient. It might also be super expensive. It might also be chemically not able to do it for whatever reason. But then there's also the business aspect of it, which gets into what kind of business do you want to create? Because there are reasons why companies separate out all of these things. It could be the proportion, chemically that you don't the
Mhm.
proportion of stuff you need to apply, that you just really can't put them all together, or they don't mix together. The carrier mechanisms uh, that need to be that need to transport the one chemical in there that you need, like the retinol. What else is needed to transport that might
Okay.
conflict with salicylic acid or hyaluronic acid? I don't know, and that's where you need to get a chemist involved. But there's also an economic value to separating out all of these different products, because I might turn uh, my moisturizer over faster, or sorry, slower, because I can pack moisturizer into this big old thing. Whereas the hyaluronic acid or something like that's going to come in this little dropper. And I want you to purchase a bunch of these little droppers at a ridiculous price versus this moisturizer, which gets you hooked because it's really like a really low cost for a lot
Mhm.
of stuff. Right. So
Right.
there's a lot of, things from the problem. How do I solve this? What energy inputs do I have? To then what's the alternative? And then combining that with what are the economics of that from the company standpoint. That's where it starts to get a little bit complicated down the line. But for as a framework for all entrepreneurs, what's the problem? How did I evaluate it? And part of that evaluation is, how are you solving that problem right now? What energy inputs is it requiring from that consumer? And what's my proposed alternative? And then you got to take that back into voice of the customer and say, would you actually, do you see this as a problem? And would you actually use this new solution?
So in my survey that I created, a couple questions that kind of address what you just asked. So one of the questions is what are your go-to brands currently? And Kiehl's came out on top with the majority. Another brand, The Ordinary, which I mentioned, is also the second number two. And then what are your go-to products? And so this was really quite interesting because it was fairly even in a lot of respects. But moisturizer came in on top with the majority of response here. And then I had a three-way tie between face cream, sunblock, and shaving cream for some reason. And then lotion as well. And that made a lot of sense because knowing men, like, they just buy the stuff that they know that they think is going to work for them. Shaving cream being really interesting. And then I asked, what would be your preferred price point? Realistically, what price range would you be willing to spend for a high value premium product that worked? And the majority was $15 to $20, but it actually expanded its way up to like $40. $40 at max is what somebody would spend. So I'm
For
thinking like if
product or total?
for one product,
Oh,
for one product, for one premium high value product. So if it was like a lotion, for example, I can understand like the $15 to $20 for a good lotion, but something that's a little bit more high value, like more specialized, $40, maybe even $50 could be something that someone would spend. But I think those price points are a little bit more like once you get more into the brand in itself.
Well, and that also
right.
speaks to the target market of a middle-aged guy, because I'm seeing middle-aged people, uh, middle-aged men who are looking to, well, as you, I think it was your words, are looking to extend
The longevity,
the longevity
their
of their good,
prime.
Yeah.
their
Mhm.
manly looks, right? Which is why we don't use belt sanders, on our face. Um, I went, it was years ago, it was a decade or more. It was probably a decade ago. I had been hiking the entire summer with sandals on, open, sandals. And and I was asked at the time, when we got back, hey, would I want to go get a pedicure? And I thought, sure, I will 100% participate in this, with you, to my wife. And I had these massive calluses built up on the backs of my feet. And as she's like, gently scraping this off, I said, so when are you guys just gonna like cut this off? And she chuckled at me and she's like, oh, we don't do that. We're not gonna cut that off. Like we'll just scrape it and then you're gonna take better care of it and it'll come off naturally. And I was like, what? And I was just hoping that she would just go, "Roar," just like get this done and
Just
over
take a
with.
saw to it.
Yeah, sure, why not? Right? Because that's just me. Like, let's get this done. When in fact it's probably not best for your skin. And which is why I use Cetaphil or whatever, however you pronounce that, right, as on my
Mhm.
face as my cleanser because it works. In my opinion, it feels better. It seems to work better for clearing out my face and unclogging or
Mhm.
whatever it does, right? Than just a standard shampoo. But then I will follow that up with a um yeah, I'll follow that up with um with some sort of moisturizer, and I've used the ordinary stuff when during this, particularly during the summer when I've hit the time of life where I start to get these little age spot things where I'll get darker parts of on my skin or whatever, and that seems to just clear it all out. But I don't use that religiously. I use it as sort of an on demand, point of need, time of need, and I just don't do it. I don't do it all the time. I also don't put moisturizer on all the time. It depends on whether I feel particularly dry or not. But I also, though, I also take a scrub, like one of those. I've got one of those little soap scrubby things, not a loofah or whatever it is, right? But I've got a woven scrubby pad gizmo with one side is pretty rough and then the other side's really rough. And I will take that rough side and go if I feel particularly ashy or dry because I get super dry skin and I just need to like get it. Like that's how I conquer my dandruff issue because I've always had dandruff problems because I have dry skin and I will just take that scrub and just go to town on my head now that I don't care about my hair because there's almost none of it left. So that's my that's the extent of what I do. But then I do pay attention to what's in my soaps. We've been making some homemade soaps with aloe and we just put out a coffee scrub. I don't know, coffee scrubs are not a guy thing, I don't think, but I don't know, we got coffee scrub that with aloe in it.
I think I think Jason is my demographic.
Yes.
There you
Oh,
go.
for sure. If you
Definitely.
seriously like that, I'm a simple guy. There are certain things I want to use on an as needed basis. The odds of me doing this every day super low. I also recognize that there's going to be something, I don't need a 24-in-1 because I'm going to have something very specific for my car, and I'm going to have something very specific for this. It's like I have something for my head, I have something for my face, but I don't need it to. I also don't believe the hype on everything either.
Right.
And I'm not going to wait a year for results. I
Yeah.
I don't
Right.
because
You
I
want
just don't
fast
trust it.
results now. You want it to be, yep, you want it to be
A year
instantaneous.
later, we might find out it was killing us anyhow. That's that's sort of the under that's so I'm looking for all natural stuff. Like, if this is
Mhm.
made with some sort of plant, I'm in. Like, I'll probably believe you.
Right.
Yeah. No, I get that. Absolutely. How do you guys feel about like where I want to go with the marketing? Like I understand that social media is going to be a big thing, and I've been of the mind of the notion that I should try to like kind of walk people through the process as well as try to educate them in the process to kind of turn them on to my brand.
Right.
Uh I've seen commercials out there on social media where it's like you get these really good looking older dudes who are like, yeah, I do this, my wife does this.
I
What do you think?
think it works. I'm going to speak from the man's perspective now because I think we're wired a bit differently than women. Even though I recognize, and Brian, you and I talked about this. I recognize that in situations like this, a lot of times it's going to be likely the woman making the recommendation to the man, like because he'll say something, right, and she'll say, "I've got a solution for you," and then he will be like, "Great, fine, figure it out for me." That I think there's that there is that, but here's why my mind works, and I'll liken it to what I just went through to my with my car. Uh, I I was like, my car's a bit old, and I need to replace plugs, and I need to replace the ignition coils, and I need to clean this thing out. And I know that you can clean it out, right? So injector and whatnot. So I buy seafoam, and I bought Berryman because I've been doing seafoam for a long time, but it was like I have a point of need. I know this product will. I'll do I'll do my basic research, and then I'll buy this product, and I'll take care of that, and then I dig into more getting more specific into where am I going to use this product? And so I ended up with two products. One, instead of seafoam in the tank, I put Berryman's in the tank, and then did a use seafoam in another location, and then two different types of seafoam, just by the way I wanted to apply it. So it is for me, it's the initial need. Here's something I want to solve, and I guess bringing that back to skincare, I did the same thing with skincare with you, Ryan. I was like, hey, I don't know how we got talking about it, but it was like, yeah, you're so young. You look young, and yet you're not. And depending how you look at it, right? And I look like I'm 60. I don't know. Um, Probably the part of the white beard, but I'm 2 years older than you. And the and you said, here's what you need to get. You need to get this, the ordinary stuff, and you put that on, you're gonna put the moisturizer on. And so is that point of need, two things. I bought it, it worked, I'm done. And I'm not probably gonna reevaluate that a whole lot
Yeah, the
because
problem
now
solved, like, we find something that works.
yeah,
That little
Yeah.
for
What do
sure.
problem,
you
yep. And so, I think as far as marketing goes, like, see if you can get people to skip steps too, and here's what I mean by that, like, how many people put on aftershave? The purpose of aftershave, if I'm correct, is to reduce, like, the redness and to reduce, like, the agitation that the razor causes to your skin, correct? Well, guess what? Zinc, it is an anti-inflammatory. Not only does it firm the skin, it's also an anti-inflammatory. So you put zinc in a shaving cream, that literally takes out the need for an aftershave. It will reduce redness, it'll reduce swelling. It literally like so as far as marketing goes, see if you can like find a problem like, hey, do you sometimes pack and you forget your aftershave? Well, guess what? Now you just need the shaving cream. Guess what? Now this will work. It'll 2 steps in 1. And so maybe like see where you can skip steps or combine steps for people and like have that problem like, oh, are you having redness and you're having trouble finding an aftershave? Well, guess what? This is an anti-inflammatory and it protects your skin and it helps bring elasticity to your skin. So the problem, the finding that problem, the solution, marketing it like I would use different addressing different problems with one product, because then people find products that they can combine, and find their own like symphony of products that work for them. For instance, I used I started it was Elise Myers actually. I know I already brought her up, but she said that she uses dandruff shampoo to wash her face because of the zinc. And I was like, wow, this is really nice. I feel like my face isn't looking as red. The red spots aren't showing up as much. This is great. I looked up zinc and saw that it was an anti-inflammatory. I was like, an anti-inflammatory, why am I not using that to shave? So now I use that for shaving. And then something else that I noticed is that I recently lost over 100 pounds in the last like couple of years. And the stretchy skin that was stretched out, it wasn't sagging as much. And I was like, wait a minute, what else does zinc do? And that's when I learned that it actually brings back elasticity. So like going down the rabbit hole of, oh, this product does this. Oh, and it does this. Oh, it's a shaving cream. Oh, you also notice it reduces red spots. Oh, guess what? Now you don't need aftershave anymore. Oh, guess what? You know what I mean? Like, and things like that, where it's like, give a little bit of the nuggets, but also take out steps, give some nuggets, and also let them know, like, oh, are you noticing that? Yeah, that's because our product is that good because we have this thing in it that really helps with this, this, and this. So, and more like you market it for a solution to a problem, but then as they notice extra results with it, you're like, that's right. That's the magic of our product because not only are you getting help with this, it's also helping with X, Y, and Z. You know what
Right.
I
Right.
mean? So, like,
Like
have those secret
not
nuggets
only the
for them.
not only the primary benefits, but also those secret benefits, as you mentioned, those
Right,
unintentional benefits. That
I
makes
think
right.
sense.
Because that
I
will help
think
it market itself too, and that'll give you really good word of mouth.
Mhm.
yeah, I think with that, you have to be very clear, have a clear description of why that's true. Because
Yes.
people like
Yes.
specificity
Yep.
and they distrust because we've been programmed to distrust it
Yep.
in our society that one of these things does, one of these products solves multiple needs. We don't we don't tend to trust that because we have been
Right.
programmed via marketing that you need this specific thing to solve this specific problem, which is
Right.
why, back to the car example, Seafoam says you can use it in a tank, you could use it in a crankcase, you can use it like all of these things. And it's true when you understand why what
Mhm.
it's made of and why it works and feel like it's safe in my oil, but it's also I can put it in my gas tank. Like, yeah, it's highly refined oil is what it is, which is kind of what gas is, which is kind of what stuff in your oil, right? But why would you get Berryman's instead of Seafoam? Well, they're chemically a little different. And Berryman's is more concentrated for fuel injectors. Will Seafoam do it? Absolutely. Will Berryman's do it better? Absolutely. Are you going to use Berryman's in your crankcase? No, you don't
Mhm.
need it, and you don't want that. You don't necessarily want that the corrosive nature of that because it's stronger. But Seafoam, fine, put in your oil. It's not going to thin it out. Berryman's will, and
Right.
that's where there is some segmentation. But can you use Seafoam in everything? Absolutely. Well, you just need to, is it going to take care of everything? Not necessarily, but
Right.
will it over time? Yeah. But that requires education, and that's
Right.
also why some people will not trust it.
Right.
Mm,
And
yeah,
that's
makes
something
sense.
like maybe be like, well, this will also there's an ingredient that helps us reduce redness. And then when people are like, wait, and you can say like maybe along the lines of the ingredient that helps with the redness also helps with this, this, and this. And then they look, I see it has zinc. Oh, yeah, that does cover all those things. So like that would be like it can help with X, Y, and Z. Because I mean, my sister, for instance, she can't use salicylic acid on her face. It dries out her skin too much. I did try and suggest to her the thing that I use because it has that really good moisturizer in it. But yeah, I think that's really fair because people don't want to know that it can they want those facts. They want to know exactly why that works like that and what it is, what that thing does. The education part is really crucial.
Absolutely. And I think the best way to educate people through the marketing would be like on uh social media, like doing stuff that seem to be more organic, not so much super manicured or high with like high production value. Like I see these TikToks and things of people like, oh, for example, like zinc, use it for this, that, and the other, and whatever, or something like that. Just something that just seems more candid of sorts. And I think that's where once I figure out what my first product is going to be, and I think I'm kind of leaning on a moisturizer, or to the point earlier, maybe even doing like a twofer or something like that, where you have a moisturizer accompanied by a serum. Um, the next step would be like, how would I market it? Who would I get it in front of, and so forth. So I think these are all like really great ideas. So, because my next question would be, how you guys think what I would do on Shark Tank? Just kidding.
I
you need a
think
cohesive pitch for Shark Tank.
you
For
wanna
sure.
you wanna have like a specific product and why your product is different. And that's why my suggestion would literally be zinc um in a shaving cream, because zinc also locks in moisture, so it also has the moisturizing fact to it too. Because zinc is so versatile, like it would hit the moisturizing thing on the head as well.
Mhm.
That'd be my personal thing, is have a specific have and a shaving cream might already have zinc in it. I don't know. I've never used shaving cream. Well, I did when I was like younger and I first started shaving. Like they have like the women's shaving cream. I don't know if it has it in it, but
I'll look
that
it
might
up
be
for
something to look into. Just something like that guys use anyway, and add a moisturizing aspect to it, so they don't have to, after they get out of the shower, after they shave, after this, something like I said, to take a step out of it if they can, like so their skin doesn't dry out as much. So they don't have to use a moisturizer.
Gotcha.
Put something in a
Gotcha.
product that they're already using all the time without adding to it.
Mhm.
I think you can also, from a product bundle, uh, follow the path of SodaStream. So
Soda Stream.
SodaStream, yeah. So SodaStream fundamentally creates carbonated water, right? Uh, Now, if you want orange carbonated water, you add the orange squirt into it. You want the strawberry, you add strawberry. That's the same thing that your soda manufacturer has been doing for years. You have carbonated water, and then you add stuff to it. So I think there's a way to make a base product that has the central ingredients that this is available for the common man. Everybody need this. Just everything you need. It's like the sea foam, right? It's everything you need.
Mhm.
Use that. Things are gonna be fine. If you want to then go down a trail because you've got extra dry skin, or you want the SPF or whatever you want, right? These other additive elements, they're designed to work together. Use the base product, then add these other elements onto there,
Right.
because
Yeah, I
that
like
will
that.
allow you to have the general product, the foundational product, and then the specificity for people who perceive they have a particular need. And the cool thing about people is they might perceive a need that doesn't is not even true. So they might be like,
This is true.
I have like super, extra dry skin. It's like, no, that you don't. Everybody's got dry skin from time to time. Relax. Is it going to hurt you to put on additional moisturizer? Maybe not. Um, but do you need it? Not necessarily. Do you think you need it? And does that make your life better? Fine. Then put it on. It doesn't matter.
Mhm.
Right.
I like
But
that. I think the base product,
the
yeah.
foundation gets you exactly what you need for
I
the,
think the base
the
product, and then like being able to branch out into more specified uh, needs. I think that's going to be super helpful. So, yeah,
Yeah.
I like it. Thanks, guys.
it will help with the nature of the distrust of the do it all product,
Mhm.
because you say this is the foundation, then you add these other items onto it.
Right.
Like, oh, I get it.
So, like a moisturizer with zinc and maybe some whatever else, salicylic acid or whatever else would be that would add value to it. To start like to have a base product, which would be the access product. For example,
Something
yeah,
they're
like
using all the time anyway. I would do the shaving
exactly.
cream because they're using it all the time anyway.
And
Yeah.
in the marketing, do two things. One is what it does and when to use it.
Hmm.
So don't just say it's a moisturizer. So for instance, back to the car scenario, what is it going to do? It's going to clean sticky lifters. Okay. When do I use it? And then it
Right.
says, use it every 3,000 miles. Oh, I get it. Right. If you don't combine both of them, it's like, I don't know what to do. Be very
Yeah,
simple
like
so it extend your good looks, whatever that is. And it can come up with a sexy
Extend your
brand.
look
prime.
better for longer.
Yeah.
There you go. Look better
Use
for longer.
after shower,
Mhm.
and put some cool name around that.
Once in the morning, once at night, something like that.
Yeah.
And
Or
then
here's
then
your
and
once a
then
week stuff. I don't know.
and then what it does is it makes the product finite. So you have to continue to refill. You can start a subscription, so and so.
There you go.
I like that. Yeah.
And it gets
Cool.
people don't want to think.
No, they
We
don't.
think we want to think, but we only want to think about the things we want to think
You
about.
want to be told what to do, when to do it.
Right. So
Absolutely. I
that's
agree.
why you got to lead with here's what it does and here's when to use it. And if that gets me 80% of the way there, awesome, because I got a lot of other things I need to think about in my life.
Absolutely. I like that. Well, I think that's it for me, guys. I mean, for now, I'm sure I will be guys posted on on my progress with this, and love to hear more. I really appreciate it.
That's awesome. Well, that's what we want to accomplish here on the weekly consulting calls with the Thinker Growth community. People can come in with their questions and ideas, and we gather those from the community as well. And then provide value to whoever's in the hot seat, and then also to the people who are tuning in. Awesome. Thanks, guys.